Hey guys, it's Galacticlum and welcome to another episode of the Unity RPG tutorial series. So today we're going to be working on implementing the skill system, but before we start doing that, I have a few announcements to make. They'll be quick, so if you want to skip over them, go ahead, but I really wouldn't do it. Just listen to my beautiful voice. Right, so I know this video is quite overdue, and the reason it's so long since I released the last video was because I've been on vacation. July has been really just a hectic month for me. I have vacation, I've been focusing on streaming, I've been working on my project, so I really haven't been able to fit that time in for YouTube, but now I'm really trying to make that time up, and I'm going to be releasing a few of these videos back to back to back. So before we get started to that tutorial series, I just want to make a few announcements about my channel. If you guys do want to watch some more programming, want to learn, want to have discussions, you can check out my Twitch channel, because over there I stream game development and programming, and we just have a good time. You can ask questions, you can watch me just program, fix bugs. This is in real time, this is live. So it's not like my tutorials where things are planned out. If you also wanna keep kept up with that discussion, you can join our Discord, which we have more programming discussions, more events. We do game jams over there. We have fun. There's meme sharing, there's resource sharing. It's if you're a programmer, if you're a game developer, if you're just someone interested in tech, that's the place to be. You know, and if you're watching my streams, you can get stream updates from there. You can also follow to my Twitter, which I have stream updates posting up there. And then you can also check out my Twitch, obviously. I have stream updates up there. So there's some awesome stuff. And I mean, we have emotes on Twitch as well. So if you want to support me, you can subscribe on Twitch. And then you can use my awesome emotes, like my what face, or the LSR emotes, or the hippo emote. So you can just check that all out. It's really cool. It's really fun. Anyways, let's get started. So with this episode, it's not going to be that long. We're really just going to be making the structs, or the scriptable objects, rather, for our skill system. We're not going to be implementing the skill system until a few episodes, because the next episode what we're going to be doing is implementing a custom inspector to edit our skill system. This is going to allow us to do more control, and this is not going to be a simple tutorial. This is going to be an advanced tutorial. This tutorial series in as a whole is advanced. We're making a RPG framework in Unity. It is not a simple task, so be warned. But let's get started. So in our scripts folder here, first of all, let's open up Visual Studio. So if you just go to Assets, open C# project, open up that. Just so I forgot to open it up, and now I need to open it up. It loads up pretty quick usually. It's not a big project. Though ReSharper, it's a plugin for C#. It's pretty slow. I've tried to optimize it a little bit. It's still kind of slow, but it should load up pretty quickly. Here, and I'll just fix the Unity taskbar. It was at the end, and I don't like it there. All right, so everything's loaded up. Okay, so let's go into our core folder in scripts. So scripts core, and inside there we're gonna make a new C# script called skill. So this is going to be the base scriptable object that we're going to edit for every skill. Now, this scriptable object here, so it's going to first of all derive from scriptable object. But this scriptable object is just going to store some useful things. So let's make a new string. So the reason we're declaring this new here is because our scriptable object already has a name variable, right? So we made a private string name, right? And we had to make it new, because basically it's saying, without it, we don't know which one to use. We don't know if we want to use a scriptable object one, or do we want to use our name variable. So it's better just use new. Basically overriding that variable, if you will. Let's make another serialized field string called description. And then we'll have a new type, and this is going to be called an element. So we don't have this currently, and we're going to go make this now. This element is going to be basically stuff like fire, water, ice, right? So that type of element. So we can go back into our Unity and just create a new C# script in here, not a folder. Oops. New C# script called element. And in element, there's not going to be that much actually. Element is really just going to have it's going to basically contain a list of itself, if you will, or a list of elements. So we're going to have a few things. We're going to have a serialized field, private new string name. Now this is the element's name. And then we're going to have a private element array, weaknesses, and private element array resistances. I'm also just going to clean up those using statements, and I'm going to add the create asset menu attribute here. The file name is going to be equal to element, and the menu name is RPG/element. There you go. So now we can go back in our skill, and now you're going to see it's working. And I'm also going to add that create asset menu attribute in here. So file name is going to be equal to skill, and menu name is equal to RPG/skill. So the next thing we'll do is we're going to make a new type of enum. We're going to make two enums. We're going to go back into our C# or Unity, and we're going to make a new C# script called skill type. Now, as you can guess, this is going to be the type of our skill. So this is going to denote whether it's a cell for selected enemy, or selected area, or AoE, or projectile, stuff like that. So it's not going to be derived from mono behavior. It's just going to be an enum, public enum skill type. And it's just going to have a few values. So self, obviously, selected enemy. So this is when we select the target, right? Selected area. So this is for if you, for instance, need to select an actual area, not just area around yourself. Area around self. And last one being projectile. So these are the different skill types we're going to support. And in here then, we're going to make a serialized field, private skill type. We're now going to go back to Unity and make another C# script called damage type. So this is the way we deal damage. Now there's three ways we can deal damage. We can deal damage physically. So let's just make that not a mono behavior, and we'll make it an enum. So yeah, we can deal damage physically, which means that it's blocked by defense. So physical damage, blocked by defense. We can deal magical damage, which is blocked by magical resistance. Oops. And we can deal absolute damage, which is blocked by nothing. In other words, this type of damage will always deal its exact amount. And this is a very important type of damage, because a lot of things we don't want to be blocked, especially when it's a thing that affects gameplay. But we'll get into how that's going to work in later episodes. Right, but now we want to go back to our skill and declare this damage type. And what's called damage type. Next thing we'll have is a private float, obviously serialized field again, damage, and then also private float, mana cost. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make another variable, serialized field, private float, critical chance, but now we're going to make use of a very neat type of attribute in Unity. And this is called the range attribute. It limits your variable to the minimum maximum you set. It also converts the variable setting. It has a text box though, but it also has a slider now. So if we do 0 to 1, if we go back and we make a skill in data, I'll make a new folder for skills. And I create a new RPG skill, test skill. You can see now we have a slider for a critical chance, which is a really cool aspect. The next thing we'll do is we'll make a private serialized field float accuracy, which doesn't need to be limited at all. Then we'll have another serialized private float casting time, and we'll have a cooldown. So I'll just copy that serialized field, cooldown, and I'm gonna make the cooldown go on top of the casting time. Another thing is actually accuracy is gonna be an integer, and the reason it's gonna be an integer is because we can't really be 11.5% accurate. I mean, we can be, but or not percent. We can be 11.5 accurate, but it really doesn't make sense. In theory, accuracy should just be limited by, it should just be an integer value. If you want to change that, you can. It won't change a lot of the calculations. It's more of a intentional limitation, if you will. So after the casting time, we're gonna have a few other variables, like a private float damage per tick. So this is how much damage we inflict per tick, and then we're also gonna have a tick frequency. So this is how many, after how many seconds do we actually tick, right? It says how fast do we tick, basically, or the time between ticks. That's better. We're also gonna have a private float duration. So this is how long this effect would last for the ticking and whatnot. And then we're gonna have a few variables which are gonna be specific to the skill type we set. So we're gonna have a private float range, and this variable is only gonna affect. We're only gonna use this variable if your skill type's a projectile, selected enemy, or selected area. It doesn't matter. We don't need the range if you are doing area around self. We know the range, right? We just need the radius, or we don't need the range if it's on yourself, right? So stuff like that, we don't need the range. Then we're gonna have a private float projectile speed, which again is only gonna matter for projectiles. We don't care about the projectile speed if we're not a projectile. And then we're also gonna have an area radius, which you can guess what it's gonna apply to. It's gonna apply to the selected area or the area around self. So these as a whole make the skill type. So that's basically it for actually defining the skills. And as I said, this is a pretty short tutorial. Now, one thing we can do as well is we can go back and we can make use of a new type of attribute called header, which allows us to do basically make a header in the inspector. So now you can see my header test will show up here as soon as it loads, and it separates these things. So we can do that. So now if we go back, we can do something like info, right, for that stuff. And then after element, right, we can do general, I don't know. And we could do a new one for stats or something, because this is mostly stats. And then the last three are going to be skill type specific. So we can make a new header for skill type specific. Though you will see that in the next tutorial, we're going to be getting rid of this default inspector anyways, because we're going to be making a custom inspector. But you can see that it does clean it up and make it look slightly nicer. Info, general, stats, skill type specific. It does make it look nicer, in my opinion. You could also stuff like scale. I think that makes more sense. And this is more general, right? Again, you can change up the names however you'd like. But this is how it looks for now. And if we go into we can make an element as well. And we can just set, obviously it doesn't have any weaknesses or resistances yet, but now we can set that to be the element there. And we can configure this however we'd like. Okay, in the next tutorial we'll be making this so it grays out if you choose a different, for instance in self, you won't, what I just click. In self, these will all be grayed out because we don't need them. So you won't be able to set them. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll be back next time. If you want to join our Discord, just go to discord.galacticlum.com. Check out my Twitch channel. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon, but it's kind of weird right now because the rewards aren't really being fulfilled. So if you're wanting to pledge for the rewards, don't do it because the rewards are kind of, I have to get rid of them. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.